Know what to eat, but find yourself not eating it. Perhaps you've been on diets and off again and just wonder why you can't stick to them. The Eating For You podcast, hosted by me, Sally Ann Pisk, will show you what's been missing so you can enjoy a healthier way of eating that lasts.
Hi, Sally Ann here, and welcome to our new episode, which is keeping with the theme of sustaining healthy eating, because this is what I want for you in 2025. After all, most of us know what healthy food is, we just don't eat it. And I've been on a mission to make healthier eating more enjoyable and more sustainable since I graduated over 30 years ago from university. However, I took the steepest learning curve about eating habits when I realised I had my own problem with food. I couldn't stop my restrictive or comfort eating habits, which I've shared about in other episodes. And this is why when I created the Eating For You approach, I included 3 pillars: knowing yourself, knowing what nourishes you, and knowing how to live with change. Healthy eating isn't just about food, it's about understanding the role that food plays in our lives. And most importantly, if you want to change a habit, what steps are needed to transform that habit for good? Perhaps you want to stop comfort eating or to stop snacking in the evenings. So in this episode, I'm going to dive into the 5 steps that lead to the quickest success in the Eating For You programs. But most importantly, these steps create lasting change. And by quick, I don't mean doing heaps of changes at once. Rather, I mean building a solid foundation so each small change you make actually sticks. But first, I want to share a little bit more about the 3 pillars. So knowing yourself is really understanding your eating habits and why you make the choices that you do. And the Eating For You approach has 9 drivers or motivations for eating, including health, physical hunger, ethical and spiritual reasons, body image, food knowledge and skills, food preferences, eating for pleasure, emotional and stress eating, and convenience. And the idea is that you align these drivers to support your health goals because often they are in conflict. As an example, you might want to improve your health as you know that you have pre-diabetes, but you also have a habit of overeating or perhaps binge eating in stressful situations. So until the stress eating habit is resolved, it won't be possible for you to maintain those healthy eating habits to perhaps prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. And when Judy joined our mindful eating program, she said that she had just lost control with food. After decades of dieting, she wasn't looking for another diet or even to lose weight. She had a milestone birthday approaching and wanted to take care of herself and not have to worry about food so much anymore. But she knew she had to get on top of that emotional eating habit because food had been her go-to as a stress reliever. Judy has been able to transform her comfort eating habits, and she shares her journey with mindful eating in episodes 51 and 112. First up, she gained freedom from food, and during the past 18 months, she has evolved her mindful eating practice so she can now navigate the ups and downs of life without reaching for food during stressful times. For Judy and other ladies who complete our programs, learning to know what nourishes you beyond food is equally important. For Judy and the other ladies who complete our programs, learning to know what nourishes you beyond food is equally important. Nourishment comes from movement that we enjoy, quality sleep, meaningful relationships, time in nature, and purpose. If you're not sleeping well, then this could be interfering with your biological drivers for eating, such as hunger and satiety cues. Movement that you enjoy is a great stress reliever, but it also supports cardiac fitness, an optimal metabolic rate, and can build muscle and bone. Being mindful whether that be through meditation, prayer, Tai Chi, or yoga, helps us to become more resilient in stressful times. We become better at not responding to every thought, word, or emotion that we perceive. We become comfortable sitting with those big emotions and the discomfort of that, which Bronwyn shared in episode 57. Moving on to pillar 3, knowing how to introduce and live with change. Change takes time, and research suggests that changing a habit might take 66 days or anywhere between 18 and 254 days. But please don't worry about how long it takes. First, you have to believe that it's possible. And after 100 or more diets, or perhaps losing and regaining the same 10 kilos 10 times, your self-belief may have taken a hit. So one of the most important things we do in the Eating for You programs is to give you the support to change beliefs about food and habits that no longer serve you. Judy and other clients that I have worked with have all had that same doubt about whether they could really change their eating habits for good. And that is why getting the right support is so important. You can be guided to focus on the small changes that will make a big difference and build your confidence as you go. Now let's take a look at the 5 steps for quick success. And these steps have come from my clients who have transitioned to mindful eating smoothly and have been able to maintain their health goals. These steps, or similar ones, are also supported in the scientific literature. I am just going to introduce them now, and then I will delve into each one of them separately. The first one is about removing the dieting mindset. Number 2 is setting up a regular mindfulness practice. Step 3, a very obvious one, I'm going to talk about this more. Follow the steps provided by your accredited healthcare practitioner or the evidence-based program that you're enrolled in. And step 4, make sure you participate in the program's community and join in the coaching calls for support. Another quite obvious one, ask for help when needed. I'm going to talk quite personally about this one soon. So step 1 is really about taking the focus off food and weight, and that can only occur if we remove the dieting mindset. In episode 114 and other past episodes, I've spoken a lot about why having a weight loss goal often backfires. But the 10 reasons why I don't support dieting, and I've actually added in number 11 today, include it just causes your weight to yo. You can experience a metabolic slump, and without the right attention, you may reduce your metabolic rate longer term. Dieting can deliver negative health consequences, and it doesn't change your eating habits. Restriction often leads to overeating, disordered eating, and in some cases, eating disorders. The different rules lead to confusion and overwhelm. The strict rules actually teach you to override natural intuitive eating. But what about the number of hours that you've actually lost in your life? One study from the UK suggested that adults on average spend 17 years trying to lose weight. And I emphasize trying here. Dieting puts you on an emotional roller coaster. Depending on which way the scales are going, dictates how you feel. There's a sense of failure, but really it's not your fault because diets have set you up to fail. And number 11, a weight loss goal is actually meaningless. Our weight comes from our skeleton, our muscle, from body fat, and also essential fluids. So weight per se doesn't mean anything. What we're really wanting to do is make sure we have a healthy amount of fat and not an unhealthy amount. So weight on its own doesn't really mean anything at all. So shifting to a more sustainable and holistic approach brings many benefits. And what I'm going to do now is really just briefly describe to you how the Eating For You approach compares with dieting. You'll go on to a personalised path rather than trying to follow a standard prescription, which means you're going to get the support until you reach your goal. And you'll focus on habits, not food. You'll make mindful and confident choices rather than sticking food on restriction mode. You'll change habits by observing your food choices instead of continually judging yourself. You'll make non-emotive choices rather than ones based on guilt. And you'll cultivate self-compassion and get rid of that self-loathing and all of that negative chatter that could be going on inside your head without you even knowing. And mindful eating evolves with you compared to a diet, which is very short term and non-adaptable. You'll learn to set realistic and achievable goals rather than being stuck in an all or nothing dieting cycle. Most importantly, you'll gain clarity and confidence to take action and maintain results instead of trying to follow someone else's rules until you can't. You'll learn and love to become curious and try something new to create a lifelong way of eating, rather than forcing yourself to keep to rules even when they don't work, or set out on a mission to find another set of rules. And if this approach appeals to you, then you can find out more about it in our free online training, Take Weight Off Your Mind for Good Without a Diet. And the link to register for this 40-minute training is included with this episode's notes. So step 2 is about setting up a regular mindfulness practice. And in this episode, I'm really talking about how mindfulness helps with changing our eating habits. So mindful eating has been shown to slow down how quickly we eat our food, which means we can potentially acknowledge satiety earlier and eat less. The use of magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI, has suggested that mindfulness works by increasing our awareness of those internal states of hunger, satiety, and fullness. Mindfulness also trains our brain to notice distressing thoughts, emotions, and sensation. And through observation of these, our tolerance grows, and the habit of wanting to eat in response to the discomfort decreases. Both Bronwyn and Judy shared their own experience of this in episodes 57 and 112. Mindfulness also reduces our misinterpretations of emotions as physical hunger, leading to less non-hunger eating. And MRI studies have shown that the practice of mindfulness actually quietens the emotional parts of the brain. The practice of mindfulness also breaks the automatic behaviour of eating everything in the packet or on your plate. And MRI results for a group of adults who completed an 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course compared to a control group that received no training showed that the intervention group had a higher connection to their visual and auditory areas of the brain. Now, there are different recommendations for establishing mindfulness practices. Some come from true experts and some come from influencers that have no training in health at all. I recommend becoming part of a community that supports the practice that is right for you. And you're most welcome to join me in a free 30-minute call so we can talk about how mindful eating would support a healthier way of eating and living for you. And the link to my calendar has been included with this episode's notes. So step 3 is a really obvious one. It's about, following the steps that are provided. And you might be thinking, Sally-Ann, this is why I fail all the time. Or when my life takes me in another direction, I get to the point where it just becomes all too hard. Does this sound familiar? Unlike a diet plan or a healthy eating plan, which is fixed or rigid, the steps provided in the Eating For You programs help you to create a way of eating that's enjoyable, healthy, and sustainable. And our programs also tap into some of the biggest barriers women tell me that they face when they want to get started or struggle to sustain healthier eating longer term. And these include not having enough time, not believing that you really can change, focusing on food rather than the habits of thought and action that keep you stuck in that all or nothing way of eating. So, the online resources like our videos, audios, and journals are designed to overcome these common barriers. Our programs might be a good fit for you if you have 15 minutes a day to achieve and maintain your healthy eating goals. If you would rather have a supportive voice in your head rather than one that criticizes you, blames you, and makes you feel guilty all the time. And if you want to maintain motivation and momentum by making small changes that will actually lead to a big difference. Anne, who shared part of her journey with food and eating in episode 9 of our podcast, said that she found the online resources very beneficial and loved the fact that she could access them whenever it was convenient for her. And Kathy, who completed the program some time ago now, shared that she often reviews the resources as a reminder and for additional tips and strategies to evolve her mindful eating practice, as it is something that evolves with your life and health requirements. When our life changes, we want to feel confident that we can still maintain our healthy eating practices. And so with our 8-week foundations program, you have lifelong access to the resources. And step 4, join any coaching calls that are provided. One thing all of the ladies enjoy and benefit from in our Eating For You programs are the coaching calls. Everyone has time allocated to them so their individual questions or observations can be addressed. The focus here is on helping you find solutions that will work in your day-to-day life so you can maintain the new choices. But you also get to listen to my discussions with the other ladies on the calls. And this really makes my clients feel like they are no longer alone and that others also experience doubts and struggles along the way to establishing a healthier way of eating that they can maintain. They are also inspired by the success stories they hear and motivated by acknowledging and celebrating their own wins. Our calls are a safe space to both laugh and cry, with the focus of making sure you are supported to move into a healthier and happier space. And step 5, ask for help when needed. Just as I encourage my clients to reach out when they feel stuck, I encourage you to as well. The diet industry has made us believe that we need to follow someone else's rules to eat healthier, but this is a lie. You do not need a meal plan. You just need some guidance to be able to tune into your mind and body's natural signals. You might also need some help to remove the dieting mindset and those unhelpful rules and personal beliefs that you've developed after each dieting cycle. You may also need support to transform non-hunger eating habits too. Asking for help about eating may sound trivial at times, because you know what healthy food is, but I reassure you that knowing what to eat isn't enough. If it were, there wouldn't be a diet industry or a mindful eating industry either. My clients soon realize that no question is too small or too big. We always break down those big questions into smaller chunks so they are more digestible. And our programs have regular online calls as well as a membership Facebook group. Eating For You helps you to know your eating habits and to know what truly nourishes you. And most importantly, how to introduce eating habits that you can sustain. The 5 steps that my clients take to set up a healthier way of eating that they can enjoy and maintain include removing the dieting mindset, setting up a regular mindfulness practice, following the steps provided in the program, participating in the community and joining in the coaching calls, and most importantly, asking for help when needed. Which of these steps resonates with you the most? Which one would make the most difference in your life? I invite you to learn more about the Eating for You programs. So you are most welcome to join our free community for women or connect with me in a free 30-minute mindful eating strategy call for further support. Thanks for listening, and if you have enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. The path to enjoying a healthy and sustainable way of eating truly can be achieved with these 5 steps. It's really about just taking that first small step. I look forward to sharing with you again next week.
You have been listening to the Eating for You podcast with Sally-Ann Pisk. If you are looking for additional support to enjoy a lifelong way of healthier eating, then join me in a free 30-minute call to see if our approach is right for you. I have included the link to book an obligation-free call in this episode's notes.